We're back, and we are now in, I'm going to count here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, hour number 9 of 36 hours of Chemo Buddies for Life's Give-a-thon. And we are joined right now by Cheryl Meyer. Cheryl is, she's known as the woman that is helping people to feel good. Feeling good feels good. And I have gotten to know her and respect her because she is someone that, again, has taken life and experience and said, okay, I experienced this. Now I'm going to help others to learn from it. And that's exactly what you are doing. So, Cheryl, thank you for coming on. And on top of that, you're a businesswoman. You've been out there, you've done it, you understand. And in truth, I called upon my business friends too that would be able to share a message of healing through feeling good and be able to understand what we are doing to build this movement to go forward. And you are also, in truth and total disclosure, she is one of our ambassadors for our organization. And so thank you for joining me tonight.
Thank you for having me do this. I believe in your mission, so I'm very happy to be here. I just revised my first book so that the umbrella is not only autoimmune disease, which is why I wrote the book, but it's also over cancer and heart disease now, because inflammation is all of it. So my message to all of you is the same, and you can take a lot of responsibility and help yourself reverse whatever your disease is with food and by eliminating toxins in your life so you can return to feeling good. And I know that's a big thing if you have cancer, but you support your body when you do this, and that's important.
And that's so much. Oh, we've got a bit of a feedback situation. Do you have earbuds by chance?
No.
Okay.
I'm in Arizona, so I don't.
That's okay. We're going to make it work. All right. So we have talked about this before in regards to, I love your approach because you go in bite-sized pieces because, toxins are everywhere, right?
Yeah, they are. And I think they're the reason we have so much disease in this country and why we're 36th in the world in disease. It's because toxins are at every level in our life.
And your mission is to let people, first of all, understand that, and then to understand how they can do something about it without completely. I mean, I'll never forget the very first time I started really understanding what you're doing, and that was, okay, just start taking it slow. Start taking a step here and a movement there. And eventually it's all going to happen.
It took me 5 years to get rid of all the toxins I eliminated, but each step you take lowers your toxic load. And that's what chronic illness is about. It's about 20 years of toxic buildup that then topples over the top. And when mine toppled over the top, everything in my body hurt. When somebody else's toxic load topples over the top, it could be cancer or it could be heart disease. But you just start somewhere in bite-sized pieces and start to find the toxins and eliminate them. And each step is a step back towards health.
And when you experienced your situation, you're a business person doing some major stuff. And then all of a sudden,
I couldn't function. I had my own jewelry business. I was selling people like Macy's and Kohl's, and I couldn't get out of bed. Everything hurt. But fortunately, I had a really great staff that had been with me for a long time. So when my conventional doctor told me there was nothing wrong with me, I went, that's bull. I hurt. So I turned my business over to my staff. They kept it running, and I started researching. And I was appalled when I discovered all the toxins that were in my life. I literally eliminated hundreds of them over a 5-year period. But I have no pain today. I will always have autoimmune disease, but I have no pain. So it was worth it. every step of the way.
And every step of the way. I love that because, truly it is, I think of that movie, What About Bob? Baby steps, baby steps, baby steps, and the little fish on his the necklace and like, okay, I'm going to do baby steps and because I think simple, and when I look around, because I look around my house. I think about this because you know the story. I come from a family that is generational, that we've been affected by cancer. Uh, and yes, I live in Southern California. Yes, yes, and yes. And so then it's a matter of, okay, how do you not become overwhelmed by it? And when you and I were visiting about this, and thank you for coming on, because I know you're busy. You have your next book coming out, and you've been doing some amazing stuff, lady. Oh my goodness, you
I
are.
just want to get the message out
I
because
love
you
it.
don't have to have a life of pain and pills.
Right.
And there are things, no matter what you have, heart disease, autoimmune, or cancer, there are things that you can do to support your body. And I think most people don't know that.
Right.
And certainly their doctors aren't telling them that. So I want to get the message out that if you own your own health and you change some of the things about your lifestyle, you can have a huge impact on your health. And I am living proof.
So let's go into the basics of it, because you and I were talking about this. I saw a post that you had and just recently, and it was about color and thinking about Thanksgiving and adding color to your food, and then you brought up something that I thought I had heard a lot of this stuff, but you brought up, oh yeah, orange, and it took me back because I'm thinking, oh, orange, okay, yeah, pumpkins, carrots, this and that, but you were actually talking more about, right. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about some of this, because it actually can. I love keeping things simple, and it can seem like, oh yeah, what does that really have anything to do with anything? But it has a lot to do with a lot, right?
One of the things that I discovered is that the body wants to heal. But you have to give the body all the building blocks so that they can put it together so that it can heal. And all the colors of the rainbow are important because each one has a gift for the body. But when they get together, they have a little party. And all those phytonutrients work together to make you healthy. So I brought up orange because orange is important for cancer. If you eat a lot of orange foods, and it's partly because of the vitamin C, but if you eat a lot of orange foods, it supports you in your fight against cancer. But you need the other colors to support them. So it's the whole friends that have to get together with all the different colors. Lemons are also loaded with vitamin C, and they're great against cancer, as are the red foods. Red foods are great for your heart, but they're also great to help you fight cancer. So, and believe it or not, 80% of us don't eat enough of all of the colors, any of the colors. Each individual color, 80% of us don't eat enough of it. So my thing is, buy as close to the farm as possible. Easy for me to say. I'm in California and Arizona. There are farms everywhere. But if you can't buy from a farm, just buy organic somewhere. And organic because you don't need a healthy dose of poison. You already got things going wrong with your body. So buy organic from the farm as close to you as you can. And then buy in season, because then you're getting maximum nutrients and you're getting it at the very best price. And then buy all the colors. What I put together to show you was in my refrigerator. I didn't have to go buy any extra food, and I have great examples of all the colors so that you have them all and you eat them all, because together they get together, they have a little party, and your body starts to respond and celebrate.
Oh, I like it. I like the party. It's not wanting to play with me right now, but it's it's back to the whole idea of, I was told a while ago by someone that was trying to just say, okay, now be smart about it, and the seasons understand. They give us what we need when we need it. It gets cold, so we get the items to make the soup. It gets hot, so we have the items that are fresh and are, that are easy to eat, and we don't need to necessarily cook a lot. There's something to it, right? That
There is. And each color has things that are made in each season. For orange, you could be eating a sweet potato, you could be eating a carrot, or you could be eating an orange. There are phytonutrients in all of these that are healthy for your body from the orange family, all of which will help you fight the cancer in your body. I think that's pretty amazing.
I do too.
And
Right.
so it doesn't matter what the season is, there's all kinds of great things available for you to choose from that color and make sure that you're feeding it to your body so that they have the synergy between all of the different colors to help you create health.
So
And if
let me
you do this for as short a period of time as 3 weeks, your body will start to respond. I eliminated, I have 18 food sensitivities. That was my first leap to get rid of the pain. But then I started eating all these vegetables, and it did not take long before my body started going, yeah, I'm feeling better. Because my body was looking for this. And it made sense to me that what was missing was live food. I was eating processed food. I was eating frozen dinners. I was eating all kinds of ingredients. I had no idea what they were.
Yeah.
Or I couldn't pronounce them, one or the other, didn't matter, not good for you. So when I started cooking and eating real food, my body was so happy. I can't explain it to you. It just was a whole different thing. And I have a struggle getting people that I'm coaching to cook, but you got to cook because that's how you control what goes into your mouth.
Okay, so now as far as the colors go, do you incorporate with vegetables and fruits, and also do you go into the grains and into the meats? And I mean, because those are still colors. I mean,
Yeah, I don't count the meats and colors, but I do count the meats in terms of high quality protein sources. And I only now eat pastured meat, which means the animal eats his natural diet. It's all kinds of advantages to that. He's happy because he's not eating GMO grains, which are filled with Bt toxin or Roundup, which you don't want in your body. And Bt toxin is the gift that keeps on giving. It replicates in your stomach. So once you get that point, and what Bt toxin does, which they put into our conventionally grown products, is when the insect bites it, it blows up his stomach. Well, guess what? When it gets in our stomach, it blows up our good bacteria. And we're having a problem that it's blowing up our bees and our butterflies, and we have no pollinators, we have no food. So that's not a good thing. So you don't want the GMOs, and so you don't want what your animal eats is what you eat. So you don't want your animals to be eating GMO feed either. So I eat grass-fed, grass-finished beef. I don't want them eating GMOs to fatten them up at the end. I want him to eat grass.
Grass-fed,
Grass-finished.
finished.
Yeah, sometimes at the end they fatten them up with GMO grains. I don't want the GMO. I don't want the Bt toxin.
Okay, so okay, so I'm sorry to ask this, but this is like, so it could say grass fed,
and it might not be grass finished.
So you need to find it to say
yeah, that was a little bit of a surprise when I first started.
Oh yeah, I'm totally.
If you go to a market and it says organic beef, it may not be grass finished. You have to ask. It has to be 100% organic to be grass finished. And chickens, you want the ones that run around freely and they eat bugs and they eat grass and they eat twigs and they eat berries. And they're skinny little dudes because they didn't get fattened up, but they're really delicious and they're super healthy for you.
Okay.
I used to wonder why when I was in jewelry, I used to go to Thailand all the time. Their chicken was so delicious because they were grown in backyards. So they weren't eating any chemicals. They were skinny little dudes, but they were really yummy. Well, that's why. So you want to buy you want to buy pastured hens. I
Okay.
just did pastured turkey. There's a difference, and it tastes different. And you want him eating what he's supposed to. And then pork, you want heritage pork that is also pastured. And then you have a break with lambs because sheep like grass. So they're almost always raised on grass. So they're okay. And bison is pretty much raised on grass too. And bison's very delicious if you never tried it. So you want the animal to eat what he was naturally made to eat. And then he does you a whole lot of good. Now, it's more expensive. So what do you do about that? We eat way too much of our meats. You only need the size of the palm of your hand on your plate. The rest of your plate should be all these different colors of vegetables that's going to have a little party in your body.
I love that.
So you save the money by not having a huge slab of meat on your plate. And
Right.
there's one other huge advantage. When I got sick, I had no cortisol left. I thought it was a good thing to be chased by a tiger 24/7. Well, guess what? The tiger caught me. So you don't want the animal's stress hormones either. And if he's conventionally raised, he's got all kinds of stress hormones that were released into his meat because he is not treated well. And I'm not going to go into how he is treated, but if he's out there on the grass eating his natural diet, he's a happy little cow all the way to the end. So you're not getting his stress hormones, which you don't need because in this world, we have plenty of our own.
Right.
So,
Let me ask you this. I mean, this is and please, everybody that's here, if you have questions, I'd love for you to be asking them too, because what I don't eat a lot of meat. I'll be honest with you. It's not something that I've ever really been into. It's not that I'm not what you would call declared anything. It's just I just don't. And so you can get your good proteins and you can get what it is that the meats can be giving to you through other sources,
you
correct?
can, but the big source, if you're vegan, is soy. And
Okay.
soy is 95% genetically modified.
Right,
And
yeah,
so
yeah.
it's loaded with all that BT toxin stuff.
Right. Okay. So
It's
that's
also one of
where,
my sensitivities, so I can't go near it, but I never really liked it, so that was okay with me.
yeah,
You can get a lot of protein just from quality vegetables.
right.
So it can be done, but I'm also diabetic and I need the protein in my diet because it releases sugar over a long period of time. And so for me, I tried to be vegan. I didn't feel good. No matter what I did, I couldn't feel good. So
Right.
you have to learn when's the last time you went into your body and asked it, how does it feel?
Right.
Because that was something I was not doing until I got sick. And then when I started going in, I realized I had felt lousy for a really long period of time. So no matter how you eat, and I don't care as long as 75% of it is vegetables, I don't care if you eat meat or I don't care if you get your protein somewhere else. You got to stay in touch with your body and ask it, how does it feel? Because your body will tell you.
Right. Right. It's true. So now as far as okay, so you've got your fruits, your vegetables, your colors and everything, and then you're talking about cooking. Isn't that a big piece of it too? Don't you?
It's huge.
You need
You
to
have to cook. And it doesn't have to be complicated. We have chosen convenience over what's good for us. And it's an inconvenient truth that there are toxins in all of our food unless we buy food that's local, food that's good for us, food that's organic at the market, and then we cook it ourselves because we don't know what we're putting in our bodies if we're not going to the farm or touching it in the market and buying it organic. And your body needs that. So by cooking, and it could be as simple, one of my favorite lunches is to take a head of cauliflower. Here we go. I steam the little sucker. I put it in my Vitamix. I add a little almond milk and a little ghee. I add seasonings, and I have hot soup, and it's delicious. And it
Ooh,
takes
that
me
does sound
maybe
good.
5 minutes to make it.
How
For
long?
all the
How
people
long?
who say to me, I don't have time to cook, you get into a rhythm, and it doesn't take long. But you're loading your body with everything it needs to be healthy.
That sounds good. Okay, so it's how long does it take to make that?
5 minutes.
5 minutes. Okay, so you
You cut
steam.
the little heads off, you steam them, you throw them in the Vitamix with a little bit of milk and a little bit. I'm dairy sensitive, so I use ghee, which means that the whey and the casein has been taken out of the butter, but it tastes like butter. And so it's yummy. You could use organic butter, that would be fine. But then you have this wonderful soup. And I love soup in the winter anyway.
I do too. Oh, that sounds good. Now, see,
And
you're
you can do it
talking
with
my
broccoli,
language.
you can do it with asparagus, you can do it with all your vegetables, and jibbing jibbing, you have this healthy soup.
Okay, I know what I'm having to when not tomorrow, but on Wednesday I'm making some
When you wake
cauliflower.
up after
Yeah,
30.
when I'm not doing this anymore, I'm going to make some cauliflower soup because that sounds really good. And so what you're saying is it can be healthy, it can be easy, and it can be impactful to help us to go forward and move through what it is that we are dealing with for those people that are affected by cancer, diabetes, heart
Any of the
disease.
chronic illnesses. And
Right,
diabetes is a chronic illness, cancer is a chronic illness. If
right.
you have a chronic illness, actually, if you don't have a chronic illness, we all need to be eating this way. When I redid my first book, Feels Good to Feel Good, I added a chapter on blue zones. Blue zones is the National Geographic study where they went to the 5 areas in the world where people live the longest.
Right.
And they live to the end without dementia. Man, that's for me. So they came up with 8 things that these communities have in common, and now they're rolling it out to some other communities. Manhattan Beach in California is now in training to be a blue zone. Loma
Really?
Linda in California already was one because they are Seventh-day Adventists. So they qualified as one of the first 5. There's a little town in Minneapolis that all voted that they wanted to be a blue zone. So the city has even made it easier for them to walk in the winter, to go to the grocery store. They get out, they exercise, they get up to change the channel on the TV. They cook all their own food. They mostly eat pescatarian, which means they eat fish, but not the other
Right.
meats.
Yeah.
But they do eat some meat. They serve their plate in the kitchen and they carry it to the dinner table and they don't go back for seconds. They only eat until they're 80% full and then they stop because in a half an hour they're completely full. So they were
Right.
smart enough to do that. They live in community where they support each other and they share their lives around the dinner table. I mean, some of these things are like no brainers, but they're important to health. And these things were the same in all 5 communities. Now, for all the people who say to me, I don't need what you're talking about because I'm healthy, I got news for you. It can take 20 years for your toxic load to build up and tip over the top. My body had been trying to tell me it was getting sick for at least 20 years. My mascara started bothering my eyes. They either teared or they got itchy. My underarm deodorant either made me blister or it made me rash. I was getting wild rashes all over my body. Had no idea where they were coming from. All of those were signs that my toxic load was building. As simple as looking at the mirror in the morning, and some days I was all puffy like a balloon, and other days I looked kind of good. And that was because on those bad days, the balloon days, I had inflammation, but I didn't recognize it.
Uh,
If you're getting up in the morning and you have brain fog, that's inflammation. If you can't sleep at night, that's inflammation. I have something on my website you should all go read, 20 signs you're not as healthy as you think you are, because I knew I had them all, but I didn't pay attention to them. So don't tell me that you don't need the information because you're healthy, because you're probably missing the signs, and it doesn't mean that your toxic load is not building. We've got to get away from processed food, which is loaded with chemicals, and there's absolutely nothing redeeming about fast food at all. It gives the body absolutely nothing to function on.
Right. No, yeah. So let me ask you this: what about the pots and pans and those kind of things? Do they have
Uh,
anything to do with
well, I
we're
had this
talking about cooking?
I had a cute little pan with that black coating, and man, I did not want to give that up. That Teflon was great because nothing stuck to it until I read an article that there are absolutely no birds where the DuPont factory is
Yeah.
because they've all died from the chemicals going up into the air, and there's all kinds of diseases in the community that are not normal.
Yeah.
So that pan had to go away. And what I bought instead was stainless steel, but the problem with stainless steel is food sticks.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, and so I ended up with some frying pans that are enamel because then they're not going to leach chemicals through to my food. And other than that, I use all stainless steel. I store my food in either stainless steel or glass now, and I don't let it touch plastic. No more plastic wrap, no more any of that stuff. I use silicone lids on glass bowls. And if I was packing lunch for a child, it would go into stainless steel little lunch boxes because then they're not getting poisoned. And it's important. Water bottles are so god awful, I can't begin to tell you. First of all, the water coming out of your own tap is really terrible. There are so many toxins in it. You can get a water report, and it's pretty appalling what's in there. There's all kinds of chemicals, and there's pharmaceuticals in there, and atrazine. And I'm in Arizona at the moment. We have arsenic in our water here. So you want to get your water filtered. But after that, I'm never going to buy another plastic bottle of water again. It's less regulated than what's coming out of your tap. So God only knows what's in bottled water. And then the plastic is leaching toxins into it, and it's leaching little tiny microbes of plastic. So you're paying 1,200 times more to get inferior water that's more poison than coming out of your tap. Flint, Michigan is not unusual. There are cities all over America that have toxic water coming out of their tap.
So
It's
what's
making us sick.
the answer? What's the answer on that?
I bought a filter from Aquasana, and we started off just with a filter on our kitchen sink, which was not expensive, and that was the water I used for cooking and for drinking and all that stuff. We bought stainless steel water bottles, and we bought stainless steel jugs. So if we're out just for a while, we take one bottle with us. If we're going to be out for a while, we fill up the jug and we refill our own water bottle. But it didn't take long before I started worrying. I take a bath every night. I did not want all the chemicals going through my skin. I didn't want the chemicals coming out of my tap when I'm taking a shower. So we eventually put an entire system on our house. And water filters range from outrageously expensive to Aquasana is not cheap, but it's not terrible. And so there's a variety of different levels of products that you can choose to filter your water, but think of how much money you save by not buying plastic water bottles. It doesn't take that long to amortize it,
Yeah,
and you're getting much healthier water.
right, and also if you're not getting sick, think how
Right.
much you're saving in that you're not paying for that, and you're not losing time from work. You're feeling better, so you're getting much more accomplished. I will say that after our first time in visiting, you had me so motivated. I actually did go get stainless steel pans, and I was like, okay, these suckers are gone, here, guys. Sorry that you may, there was a few down in the mouth, kind of looks from the family, but it was like,
Yeah,
we
you don't need that stuff.
we need to make some good choices. And the thing that you did do for me, and I wanted to share the appreciation and also let others kind of go there with me, is that don't feel guilty for not taking care of everything all at once.
Oh, no, you can't. It's
Yeah,
impossible.
right, because you could start going crazy with that, and then that stress just adds to
You
the
don't
whole
need the
thing.
stress.
Don't go there,
The
right?
reason I wrote the book was because it took me literally 5 years to do all the research and then find things to replace the toxic things with. And I decided if I did all the research, I might as well share it with everybody else because the research you do in a database called EWG.org, the Environmental Working Group, they are known for the Dirty Dozen Clean 15 list. The Dirty Dozen are the dirtiest vegetables that you only buy organic. They have a database that has hundreds of thousands of items in it, or if your item's not in there, you can look up all the little ingredients. But it is not user-friendly at all. So once I did all the research and I chose new items that lowered my toxic load significantly, I wanted to share it to give everybody a running start.
Right.
And so that's why I wrote the first book. It took me 5 years. And if you buy my book, I give you a workbook because you can't do it all at once. You'll go broke. So what you want to do is you can read my book in any order. You make a copy of the workbook pages that match the chapter, and then you write down what you find is toxic in your life and what you're going to replace it with when you run out of it. Right. I figured that out because I had a beta reader who went threw all her husband's favorite food away. She went through her house like a wild woman and almost had World War III on her hands because she threw all his favorite foods out. You don't do that. You do it gradually. It took me 5 years. You just keep lowering your toxic load, and then voila, one morning you wake up and you're living a low toxin life.
Voila! It sounds easy, and it really is in truth, because I know that you really inspired me in a couple of different places. It was the pans. It was that not all at once. You don't have to do it all at once. Don't go there. I started getting my mason jars out because it was like, okay, I have glass jars.
Yep.
Use those, and then the trampoline.
Yeah, I'm a person. I have a chapter in my book called "Exercise for People Who Hate to Exercise." That's me. And so I bought a little. I call it my mini trampoline, but it's actually a rebounder, right. And I like doing it. I record country western top 20 on Sunday. Never was a big country western person, but I've really become to like it a lot. So I start on 20, and as it counts down, I jump for 20 or 30 minutes while I watch the countdown. And then I pick up the next day wherever they left off. And I like doing it. It's great for any of us with chronic illness because it cleans out your lymph system that doesn't have its own motor. Your heart has a heart. Your blood system has a heart. Your cardiovascular system. But your lymph system's out there picking up the garbage around all your cells. And if you don't help it get rid of the garbage, it has no place to go. So by jumping on the rebounder, your body goes in and grabs all that garbage and flushes it out of your body. So it's a win-win-win. I like doing it. It's good for my body, and it gets rid of all the garbage. So for me, it's great. And then I also started doing yoga.
Oh, that's good.
Because I had no cortisol left. I was almost to Addison's disease. I had to find ways to lower my stress significantly so that my body could survive me. I'm a type A personality. I will always be a type A, so are you. So, I had to find ways, and I now have, I think it's 10 exercises that take 3 minutes or less that you do throughout the day that resets what's called your reptilian brain. It's your parasympathetic nervous system at the back of your neck. And if you do them on a regular basis, I used to tell you I had no time for that. I had work to do. Well, guess what? I reset my parasympathetic nervous system. It sends blood to my brain, and I am way more productive after I do it. So that's a win-win-win too.
Yeah.
And I say that it's like letting the steam off of my Instapot. Do it at intervals through the day. Only takes 3 minutes. Then I'm letting all that steam off so it never becomes chronic.
So okay, give me an example of like a just one of the 2 or 3 minute kind of things that you would do.
The one I use the most is Dr. Andrew Weil's 4-7-8 breathing exercise. You can look it up online and do it right with him. It takes 3 minutes. You do 4 rounds of it. I do it when I'm sitting in LA traffic on the way to my functional doctor's office. And because I was tired of walking into her office from rushing and sitting in LA traffic and having my blood pressure be off the roof and my pulse was racing. So I started doing it while I was sitting in traffic. I now have a lower pulse and lower blood pressure than any patient that she sees. She'll look at me and go, my God, you're doing that breathing exercise again, aren't you? I said, yep, works like a charm. So that's the one, and nobody even has to know you're doing it. You could do it anywhere. But then the other exercises are little exercises like you stand up next to your chair and you just bounce for 2 minutes. You just bounce. It gives your body a rush of energy. You can feel the blood going to your brain. It makes you happy because you've moved. It gets all the kinks out of your body. One of the exercises is sitting in a chair. You don't have anybody knowing that you're doing this one. You put your hands on the outside of your thighs and you push out and you hold it for 30 seconds. And when you release, you get a rush all over your body. And then you do the opposite. You put your hands on the inside of your thighs and you push in and you hold it for 30 seconds. And again, you get that rush all over your body.
Oh, I like that. And
they're just little exercises that make all the difference in the world and make me more productive so that I can still be my type A personality without getting sick.
So now, okay, so type A personality, you were in the business world, you had your jewelry business, and I remember when you started closing all that down because you decided you were really going to go out there with this message and change things. And how long has that been now?
I sold the business in May. I sold it to someone I sold to who was a big distributor. And they were lovely when I called them and I told them I was sick. It was time. They had a brand that I created. I owned their silver and CZ business. Would he be interested in buying it? And he said, let me think about it. Call me back in 5 minutes. And he said, you've been a great partner. Of course, I'll buy it from you. And then he called me. I did that in January. He called me every month to make sure that I was okay and that I was feeling okay until I got all the jewelry to his end. And then we closed the deal. So he ended up being a remarkable human being. And my staff helped me get rid of it, and then I took care of them. I wrote their resumes, and they all got great jobs. So that allowed me, and while I was doing all that, since I got sick 2.5 years ago, I've done 100 podcasts to get the information out that I've learned. I can now talk about my book in any order, backwards, forwards, inside or out, because I've been out there doing it, and I just started my own little local TV show in Monrovia, California. It's only going to be covered in Monrovia, Duarte, Arcadia, and Baldwin Park. And then we're converting that to be a podcast, which will start on Voice America in January and be international. Because I want people to know what I have learned.
I love it.
And so the podcast is going to be two sides. It's going to be the TV show that we're recording, which is visual. And then I'm going to hold interviews online on Zoom with other people who got sick, who made lifestyle changes and turned their health around. Because when I go out and talk, people go, yeah, you did that, but it wouldn't work for me. Well, guess what? I know I went back to school to become a coach, and I met a lot of people who were in the same situation I was in. And so there's a lot of us out there that have this story to tell. Mm-hmm. And I want them to hear it every other week, over and over again, between me just talking about general health and what they need to know, because I want to give people with autoimmune disease and cancer and heart disease hope. And the only way I can do that is they hear from more people than just me.
Absolutely. So let me ask you this, because you're out there with this message. You're out there helping to make a difference. How important is community?
Believe it or not, community is number one on the list for what keeps people healthy. And there's something, we all know about, I don't know if it's the 5 or the 6 degrees of separation. Well, there's 3 degrees of separation. The people that are within 3 degrees of you and their lifestyle habits impact your health. So it's really important. Now, you're not going to dictate to anybody that they can't eat that. When you go out to restaurants, if they want to choose a bad restaurant, you eat something on the way and then you eat a salad when you're in the restaurant. You're not dictating to anyone. You're not telling anybody they have to do anything. But the more people that are in your immediate circle that are eating like you are and living like you are, the better chance you all have to support each other in long-term health. So community is critical.
And so, and then, of course, where I'm going with this too is the Chemo Buddies concept of
Absolutely.
community. That's why you said, okay, yeah, I believe in the concept, and we both were believing in what both messages are because they go hand in glove.
Well, and
And
I have lost people to cancer. I lost two of my very best girlfriends. I actually broke up from a toxic relationship when I got sick because he decided he didn't like it that I was sick. And I went online looking for somebody who wanted to go on a get well journey with me. And I met the most marvelous man who supports me 100%. He's lost 80 pounds since we've been together. And he's super healthy. His doctor can't believe how healthy he is.
I love
So he's my partner. He's in my 3 degrees of separation. And he lost his wife of 43 years.
Yeah.
To cancer, and he had prostate cancer. And so when you start getting touched by cancer, and 40% of us will be at some point in our life, I just happen to have way more than my normal amount, you start to realize community is important, support is important. That's why I rewrote my first book to include cancer, because what I've learned for autoimmune is just as important for all of you with cancer.
Absolutely, absolutely, and I think we had talked about this before. Many of the cancer patients, including myself, have been diagnosed at some point in time, well before cancer, in some kind of an autoimmune situation, and so that is not an
That's because they're connected.
And so, as we are right now, I mean, you're type A. I like to say I'm a recovering type A. Wink, wink. Yeah,
I would have told you I'm recovering, but I'm going as fast as I ever did.
I can at least have my delusions at something.
My doctor keeps saying, you have to be tired when I look at your tests, but then I look at what you're accomplishing and you're just pushing through it. Could you slow down a little bit?
You know, at some point in time, and you and I both understand this, is because of the fact that we have missions and we've called.
But believe it or not, the other thing that's super important to health, I'm 71. I turn 71 next month. When you're 71, the most important thing you can do beyond community is to have passion for a mission.
Yes.
That's what keeps you young. That's what keeps you going. That's what makes your heart sing. That's what gives you a reason to get up in the morning. So it's super important that you find what your mission is. My mission, I had passion for designing the jewelry I designed for all those years. It brought me great pleasure. It's nothing like this, because touching people's life is worth all the money in China.
Absolutely. Amen. Without a doubt. And as we are right now in the midst of a give-a-thon.
Right.
What would you say? Because I mean, I have it here. Donate today. We have 2 goals for this. We have enroll buddies, and that is support buddies and chemo buddies or patient buddies. It doesn't matter what type of treatment you decide to go for, traditional, alternative, adjunctive. Just don't do it alone. If you have heard those words one way or another, we want you to become a buddy. We are a nonprofit. That's why we are doing what we're doing. And to be able to support this and be able to take what we are taking and going out there to that next level, we are raising funds. And the goal is $50,000 to raise this year. Giving Tuesday is tomorrow, and we took a jump on it because there is a little bit of a type A type personality in this girl. And we did 24 hours last year, so we have to at least keep the record breaking thing going on. So
And I want to make a comment about the buddies and why they're so important. One of my girlfriends that got cancer had a wonderful husband. He was her grand passion of her life, but she did not want to share her cancer with him because she thought he was worried enough as it was.
Right.
So I became her buddy. We were both Capricorns. I know Capricorns. I knew she was telling the world she was okay when she wasn't. So we made a deal that she could call me and she could say anything to me. And we kept that going all the way until she passed.
Mm-hmm.
You need a buddy even if you have excellent relationships. You need somebody who is disassociated a little bit from your immediate life that can be there to listen to you and support you. So chemo buddies is so important.
Thank you. I just absolutely adore you and appreciate you beyond belief. And yes, it is, because the idea of, and I say this a lot because I'm live a lot, and I talk about that one in the night that's feeling afraid and alone, that doesn't know which way to turn, and almost is at a point of hopelessness. And I speak of it because of the fact that it reminds me of my mother, who was, had to be taken out of the house because of our situation. And she was not herself. She was not complete at the time because of what was happening with the superbugs and
Right.
if you will, toxicness. And when you think about that, and you think about that person that you love being a person that you have in your mind that was afraid and alone, you don't want anybody else out there. And we are building something that can change that.
Yeah, and it's important.
Yes.
It is.
So with that, I want to say thank you for putting your reputation, your education, your experience, and your love into our program, because I know that you are there, and that your education in what we shared right now, I really want our buddies and those people that are watching, I hope that you guys took notes. And that's one of the reasons I did this like I did in our segments, that people can go back to that particular hour and watch and rewatch, because the valuable information you have shared today can actually start. I mean, you have motivated me to start making those changes, and not to start and not to feel guilty for the ones that haven't happened yet.
Right. And there's going to be lots of objections, and you're going to have objections. So if you're listening to me and you have an objection, write to me. I will answer you. I have heard it all. There is really a way to overcome all objections. It costs too much money. So I talk about where can you save money, and I have 30 ways to save on food. There is some way that you can get over any objection. And I had one of the guys I read was a farmer who said, "You think it's too much money to eat organic? Have you priced out cancer lately?"
True.
I have a theory that if you are listening to this and you don't have cancer, start eating like you have cancer now, because then you won't go there. And if you do have cancer, clean it up, because your body will help you fight it.
Yes.
And it's important that you pay attention to this.
Yeah, absolutely. I so completely agree. So the information that you share, how is it that someone can get those bite-sized pieces? Don't you have like you have a newsletter, you have your
I have
podcast.
a newsletter. You can sign up. My website is loaded for bear with great information. If you just go to my website and noodle around, you will learn a whole bunch of stuff that I've learned over the last 3 years. And in all honesty, I wish I'd known it before I got sick, because I will always have autoimmune disease. I'm just lucky that most of the time I no longer have pain. So go and noodle around. And if you say, I don't need that yet, do it anyway, because you don't want to go where I went. You don't want to wake up in the morning and have everything in your body from head to toe hurt.
Right, right. No.
So read it and start to implement it and do it in little pieces. If you buy my book, understand you're not going to do it all at once. Pick a category, any category. And I'll give you an example. I looked up my face makeup. I was buying an expensive French makeup. It was a 9 on a 10-point scale. All of those toxins were going right through my skin and into my body. I gasped. And cosmetics are mostly not regulated. 8 years ago, when I changed to what I'm now using, there was very little available. Now there's all kinds of organic things that you can use on your skin. But it's important because your skin is your largest organ, and it's really supposed to be detoxifying your body. You don't want to be poisoning your body through it.
No, no, no. And this is where, again, and as we were talking before, you don't want to be doing that, and you don't want to overwhelm yourself in the concept of getting better, because it's take one step at a time.
Yep. And you don't want, if you have one of the people who read the book early, who wanted to change everything, she had grown children and they were squawking up a storm, and she started to lecture them. Don't lecture them, just be an example, because eventually they'll fall in line. Her family has gotten all kinds of illness, so one by one they've gotten with the program, and she's teaching them, but she did not dictate to them. And so if you get, and you're doing what I'm doing, you have to respect that it's each person's choice. But they will eventually start to notice that you're feeling pretty good, and maybe they'd like a little bit of what you've got.
Yeah, well, feeling, I mean, ageless, let's just say, but still, if you want to put some numbers there, 71, right? And look at that energy. You talk about, they're calling me the energized bunny. Your energy, and may I say your skin, are
I think I got from my mother. I don't know that that's because of my diet, but maybe it is.
well, but truthfully, it's amazing. And when I started putting that connection together, and I had to say, yes, I remember you even saying that too. Don't preach, because I remember having that conversation. Well, there's going to be those people in my family that are going to just like, that are going to be pushing back and everything. But what I have found, at least in my world here, in this period of time since I've known you, is that there's a little bit of change going on in this neck of the woods, and it's happening because it's organic, and and wow, because it's like, okay, have some faith, Tamara. You say you have all this faith in certain things. Have some faith in the people in your life, right?
Yeah, well, and I grew up in retail. I was a store manager for a big department store in LA. And I learned early on, you push someone, you know what happens? They push back.
Right.
It has to be their choice.
Yeah.
You're not going to dictate to anybody. They're going to ignore you. So don't push them, and don't make them push back. It'll take them 10 times longer to adopt what it is that you're living. If they just get to observe you and they know how good you're feeling, it will happen by osmosis.
Yes, I absolutely 100% can concur on that one, because there, yes, I'm bless you, I may have, I haven't given up the coffee thing yet. I will just be honest about that.
I am back to drinking coffee. I have found it's Mayorga Cubano organic coffee.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna replay this one, and I'm gonna be.
It's a really dark roast organic coffee. Now, what I learned about coffee is, if you have adrenal issues, which I did when I first got sick, then coffee's probably not the best thing for you, because it's stimulating you and you don't need the extra stimulation. Okay. You get your stress under control, and then you can have your coffee back. But coffee is a very dirty crop. It's not on the dirty dozen, but it is filthy. It's loaded with toxins. So you want to make sure that it's organic. And finding an organic coffee that was a dark, rich roast that I liked was not an easy thing to find, but I love this stuff. And I don't know if the sale's still running, but I bought it yesterday for 30% off. So I buy it 5 pounds at a time.
Well, there you go. Beans? And then you ground them?
And nope, I buy it ground because I think it's too messy to grind my own beans. I keep it in the refrigerator. I had coffee everywhere.
Oh, I have no problem with that. Coffee in my world is like, yum. It's like, I have to say. So, yeah, okay. So,
So coffee's okay and chocolate's okay. But again,
yeah.
you want to buy organic chocolate and you want it to be close to 70% or higher because then you're not getting all the sugar and all the dairy. You're getting really good chocolate. And yeah, you can enjoy that.
That's the dark chocolate, right?
That's the dark chocolate. It's an antioxidant. But I just found Enjoy Life makes a milk chocolate with rice milk. And I just bought some and it's pretty darn good.
Well, we all have our thing. And that's the thing that I just love about talking with you, Cheryl, because you don't make people feel guilty about what it is. You're just helping us to understand choices and to make them and to be moving forward. And that's what the whole Chemo Buddies for Life program is all about, in that we can heal through connections in that community, and having the connection within that connections, information that we're sharing that is helping us to have better lifestyles.
Right.
And that, it's like the healing through the painting and healing through the music and all the different things that we're talking about with healing through. But it's a matter of healing through together and through to community. And I love it when you're talking about the similarity in life, the blue zones, all of that. Because I hadn't known about blue zones until I met you, and it made so much.
Oh, and then I had somebody say to me, "Oh, I don't care. I'm going to live a long time anyway. It's in my family." Well, wouldn't you like to grow old without dementia?
Yeah,
I think that's a pretty good reason to do it.
Right, especially, and I don't mean to laugh. I've just been dealing with that with an extended family member lately that we needed to help, and it's not an easy thing to deal with.
No.
So as we start to close, what would you like to leave us with? In regards to, what would you say to someone that's thinking they have a few dollars or volunteer hours, or they are feeling inspired, but they're not quite sure? What would you tell them why it is that they may want to really align themselves with what we are doing here?
I will tell you that anybody with a chronic disease, no matter what it is, and certainly cancer is at the top of the list, they feel very alone. So your organization is important because it gives them community. And a lot of times they're not willing to share it with the people they're closest with. Mm-hmm. It's a private hell, and they don't know how to reach out. And it's so much easier to reach out to somebody who's going through it, that cares about them, that will be there for them. And so that's why I think your organization is so important. Anybody with a chronic illness needs a buddy, and if you have cancer, you really need a buddy, because from the very point that your doctor says cancer to you, you're terrified.
Right.
But it's a private terror, and you don't want to share it, so you need a buddy to help you get through it.
Thank you. Absolutely, could not have said it better, and it's so true. So we are here for you out there. Donate, because truly what we are doing is changing the world. Yes, we think outside the box. That's why we're doing everything we do, because we can take control back, and we are.
The other thing I'd say is own your own health. Don't let any doctor tell you you're going to get sick and die. Don't have anybody tell you you got to take all this medication. Own your own health. Do your own research. Make a change for yourself. Own it. You can make a huge difference in your health if you own it. Get your buddy. Do it together. but own your own body because your doctor didn't get any nutritional information in medical school at all. And so you are responsible to dig that out. I was an English major in college. I didn't know any of this stuff. And I'm like a little walking encyclopedia of health now.
Yes,
Own
you are.
it.
Yes.
And own it.
And I love it. And thank you for being that. And thank you for being here with us. Thank you for, I'm excited about next year. Let's just go out there and rock and roll. What do you say?
Yep. We want to make America healthy again.
Absolutely. All right. Well, thank you, my dear, and have a wonderful evening.
30 hours or whatever.
Yeah, you know what? I'm good. All right.
Okay.
See you later. Bye. Mwah. Okay, guys. Join me on the other side. We're going to start again in just a moment.